Okay, first off, I want to share a dream that I had like January 22nd, 2011. I know that it was an end time dream. Now, what happened in the dream was I was in America. I know that. And I was walking down like a sidewalk. And as I was walking down that sidewalk, I noticed that to the right of me was like big, tall buildings. I don't know where I was in America, but I know I was somewhere in America. And it was like these big, tall buildings. And I noticed that when I looked to the left side of me, there were like the earth was tilted. And I knew that if I got off that concrete, if I got off that sidewalk, that that I would fall off the earth. So I stood on the sidewalk. So I kept walking down this sidewalk, and on the right side of me where the buildings were, they were like falling down like it was an earthquake, but I couldn't feel the earthquake, but I knew it was an earthquake going on. And I really didn't realize this till later after the dream. And the buildings were like falling down, and whatever the buildings were made out of, whether it was brick or stone, it was falling down to the ground, but they were stacking on top of one another. And I was like, okay. So, but for some reason, I don't recall being afraid. So I just kept walking down the sidewalk, and the sidewalk was steady, and it was a narrow sidewalk, and it was steady, and I just kept walking down the sidewalk. And I noticed it was like a room in one of the buildings at the very, very top. I remember one building in particular, and at the very top of the building was a room, and the whole wall that was keeping the room intact was falling down to the ground. And I was like, okay. So I just kept on walking, and I noticed that I think it was like people running around and things. I don't really like remember that, but I remember as I kept walking down the sidewalk, I wound up in Asia, and I believe it was in China. And I kept walking, I wound up in China, and I was like, okay, I'm in China, and the same thing that was happening in America at the same time it was happening in China. So I was like, okay. So I just kept walking. People were running around everywhere in China. And I remember it was like a building on the right side of me, and I was going inside of that building to get somebody or to help save someone or something. But the people kept yelling like, don't go in there, don't go in there. But me being hard-headed, I went anyway. And then I had a urgency to come back out. So I ran back out of the building. And when I ran back out of the building, the whole building fell down and like collapsed after I had got out of there. As soon as I walked out of there, the whole building just boom, just collapsed down to the ground. And I was like, ooh, okay. I'm glad I got out of there. And I just was like, this is amazing how the same thing that's going on in America is the same thing that's going on in China at the very same time. But I just wanted to share that dream with you guys, and let it be that. Have a good day.